All right, you guys, welcome back to, or welcome, if this is your first time, to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, your premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And tonight we have the spotlight on Chica and Sunsets. And I'm pretty sure if you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you are an avid or wannabe Appalachian Trail section hiker, through hiker, day hiker, slack packer, whatever you want to do, I am pretty positive you have heard of my guest this evening, Chica and Sunsets. They will be on shortly. You guys, we've already had a great conversation about catalytic converters and the Ice Age Trail. So without further ado, I know you guys are ready to see Chica and Sunsets, so I'm going to skip all the regular rigmarole that I go through when I open an episode, and we are going to go ahead and bring on our guest, and we are going to go ahead and get with the show. You guys, welcome Chica and Sunsets. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
You are very welcome, you guys. I think I reached out to you guys, I don't know if it was maybe December or January, and said, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? Actually, I think it was the end of January, and I'm not sure who I was talking to on the DMs, but you guys actually opened Chica and Sunsets Hostel early this year. Is that right?
I believe so, February 1st. Which we try to open February 15th, but we usually open a little early.
Yeah, usually we take December, January off and then open mid-February. But this year, I think last year we did this too. We were just so ready to get going, and we were already starting to field text and calls, and we're like, let's do it. Let's go.
So you guys had hiker fever already, and we are... Us at home, we have hiker fever because we are living vicariously through everybody that is out there right now. We are living vicariously through your posts that you guys do on your Facebook, on your Instagram. But I failed to give you guys a proper introduction. And what I mean by that is I want all the listeners to know that Chica and Sunsets, you guys are extreme avid hikers. You have your small business there at Chica and Sunsets Hostel. And not only do you guys avidly hike together, you also avidly hike separately. I know Chica, you hike with a couple girlfriends of yours, and Sunsets, I know you've gone out on some solo adventures. And I wanted to let you guys know, I realized this today. The three of us have something in common that will never change. We are all three the class of Appalachian Trail 2017.
Ooh, yeah.
Pump it up. So when I was looking to see when you guys finished the AT, I was like, oh my God, we're all class of 2017. So 2017 is the year that I actually finished my 12-year section hike, and I finished in Rangeley, Maine. So that's a whole other story. But we are all class of 2017, which is very exciting. So I will hold that dear forever. We are 2017 hiker trash together. And so let's talk about that trek, because I think your Appalachian Trail through hike maybe led you to opening your hostel. So either one of you, take it away.
I will start by saying by the time we reached Maine, we swore we would never hike another trail ever.
How long did that take?
Is the honest truth. We were both mentally and physically fatigued. And we were going to see it through. We were going to summit Katahdin, but we weren't going to hike anymore. Not after that.
But then we hiked the very next year.
We did. We went to Spain. Yeah.
So you did the Camino in Spain?
Yeah, we did the French route.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how many miles is the French route?
500.
Okay. So how different is that? Because I know people talk about, oh, I'm going to hike the Camino versus the AT.
Totally different.
Extremely different.
Yeah, the AT's more of a physical pursuit. You're pushing your body. The Camino is more cultural, historical, foodie. You know, getting a shower every night and eating three meals out a day.
And you don't need that much weight on your back because you're stopping in villages to eat, so you don't have to carry food. You don't have to carry a stove.
No tent.
No water filter. So we just had like 15 pounds on our back, clothes, and a bath towel, and that's about it. So it's a totally different experience.
We were dancing.
Yeah.
Down the way.
And I've heard people gain weight on that trail.
I can see it happen.
I
probably did.
I think we about stayed even.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great wine. Great food.
Yeah, really good wine.
So you guys have completed several, long distance trails together, but you also venture separately. So Chica, why don't you tell us about some of your separate adventures, and do you enjoy those as equally as much as you do, you guys hiking together? And maybe I'll ask you guys too, do you guys ever get sick of each other when you're hiking?
Sure. I'm sure she gets more sick of me. But yeah, the trail is long and you can spread out if you need to.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that is true.
Last year was the first year that we did some of our separate hikes. So I went and did the Tahoe Rim Trail with two girlfriends, and that was fabulous. We were out there for 2 weeks, and it was a totally different experience. I kind of felt more independent because I had to, we weren't sharing gear. I had all my gear, but I was also with two other women who are fabulous, badass hiker women, and it was a great experience for me. I loved it. And it wasn't that long. I wasn't out there for 6 months. I think that would have been tough. I would have missed him. But 2 weeks, it was a beautiful trail. I really enjoyed it.
So initially, last year, I was planning on doing the PCT southbound by myself. And I turned 50 last year. It was going to be like my big hurrah. And so we were going to meet in Tahoe and try to hike the section that the Tahoe Rim Trail and the PCT coincide. It's about 60 miles. We're going to hike that together, and then she was going to peel off, and I would keep going south. We'll get to the Ice Age Trail, I'm sure, but we had some really long 20-plus mile days on the Ice Age Trail, 25-plus mile days. And I'm like, to do the southbound on the PCT, I'm going to have to do a lot of big days to really get it done in the time frame I want to get it done. I just don't want to do that, especially if I'm not hiking with her. And that would have still been 4.5, 5 months without seeing her, except for that little section in Tahoe. So I decided to bail on the PCT. She still went out and did the Tahoe Rim.
And then you did another trail with a buddy of yours.
Yeah,
Year.
Buddy of mine, Dell Highlander, we did the Benton MacKay Trail. He unfortunately had to get off due to a knee injury, maybe midway, and then I did the last half by myself. So,
and I have been told by a gentleman, his name is Rolf. He was on the podcast a couple months ago. I read a recent post of his, and he has stated that the Benton MacKay Trail is harder than the Colorado Trail. So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the AT is harder than the Colorado Trail, and the Ben MacKay is equal, if not a little more challenging than the AT in our area in the south. So
our first long hike was the AT. We started out with the hardest trail first.
I'm so glad we did too, because it really, everything since has been
like a vacation.
Yeah. Now we're having to learn logistics, because the AT is very easy logistically. There's so much support, especially up until Virginia at least. So many towns to go into, places to resupply, places to get food outside of a food bag. So it's easy. And some of the other trails we've done, we've had much longer food carries and water carries, and you just don't have to deal with those logistics so much on the AT.
Mm-hmm. And I just realized I also failed to mention earlier that you both are authors. And Chica, you have some jewelry that you sell. So not only are you avid hikers, you own a hostel, which we're going to get way into the depths of here shortly, but talk about your books and your jewelry that you have.
Sure. I make jewelry for, it's like hiking jewelry. I do a lot of AT pennies. I actually make them out of penny with melted solder, and I stamp the AT symbol in it, or I can do like hike, words like hike or PCT. And then I just do, I mean, they're just little bracelets, but they're hiker friendly. You can hike with them, you can sleep with them, shower with them, and
They're
yeah.
really cool, and I've seen people out with them, and I'm like, oh man, you guys got that at Chica and Sunsets. I hope to meet and go there one day.
I'll have to make one for
There
you.
you go, there you go. And I know you
Yeah.
both have books. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, before the AT, we were living in Costa Rica. We had been living there for about 4 years um, before we decided to do the AT or come back to the U.S. And we were both exiting corporate America, I guess you could say. My job had been really stressful. Your job could be stressful as well, but mine was kind of the catalyst. And we just sold everything and said, we're just going to take a break and breathe, downsize, and not do anything for a while. That didn't last too long. We started, each started a blog about assimilating into life in Costa Rica as expats. Those both gained an audience. And then Chica wrote a book, her first book, which was Costa Rica Chica, which was the story of why we chose to leave the U.S., downsize, and go to a different country. And that sold extremely well. And I'm like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. so I wrote a book. And that kind of started us. Neither of us had ever written for public consumption before, just like in business and stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting to be able to let our creative ness flow, I guess, because we had time to do that. In working life, we really didn't have the time to explore things like that. So fast forward, we hiked the AT, and on the AT, we're talking about all these things that we wish we would have known during our research. We're like, okay, well, let's make a note of that. And so that turned into a co-written book called Thru-hiking the Appalachian Trail: 100 Tips, Tricks, Chaps, and Facts. And that was basically just a bunch of information that we never came across in our research, or we didn't think was addressed real well.
Mm-hmm.
And all
And
of that
then,
is on your website, correct?
Yeah,
yes.
and Amazon as well.
Yeah. And
And
then
we've
I
gotten
also,
two comments. Coach Deb, she says that she has a bracelet and she loves
uh,
it. So
awesome.
there's one comment. And we've got another comment. The jewelry is very cool. So there you
Oh,
go.
nice.
Um,
Awesome.
I want to ask you guys something because as you guys are talking, you're authors, you own a business, you leave the United States, and you live out of probably what I would consider a comfort zone. And it seems you have to be very intentional with that lifestyle because all the time you hear people say, oh, I'm living the dream, or I wish I could live that dream, or, oh, I wish I could own a hostel or do this or do that. And none of that is easy. So talk about, are you guys really intentional in what you do? You're creators, you're continuing to do things, you're continuing to go on long hikes. Talk about your intention for your lifestyle.
Yes, we're quite intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, each large decision we make usually takes a long time to come to fruition. I mean, we made the decision to move to Costa Rica 2 years before we actually did it. So Chica is a serious, very pragmatic planner. I'm more kind of a dreamer type person, but we both, when we make a large decision, and I include a hiking trail that's going to take a couple months or even a month, that's a big decision. So yes, we think about it. We think about the finances. We figure out if we can afford it. When we were thinking about the hostel, it was just something that we were brainstorming while hiking the AT. I mean, we hiked the AT as a couple. We were in our mid 40s. We had probably a little bit more expendable income than the college student did. And so our expectations when we went into a town was a little different. We wanted a little more privacy. We didn't want to fight over who got the top bunk, that sort of thing. So we started brainstorming, okay, if we ever had a hostel, what would it look like? And so we started building this. And so, by the time, I don't know what time, by the time we finished, we were pretty determined that we were going to open a hostel. And it still took us 2 years seems like there's 2 years from deciding to do something to actually doing it. So there's quite a bit of prep that goes into everything we do, I think.
But ever since we quit our corporate jobs and moved to Costa Rica back in 2013, we have never looked back, never regretted that decision, because that really truly set us into our lifestyle we have now, which is so much more simplistic. I mean, we were very materialistic before that, and we just lived to work, and we had no time, we had no happiness. And now we don't have a lot of money. We don't make a lot of money with the hostel, but we have time with each other. We have time to go on hikes. We're happy. So, yeah, we're never going back.
No. I mean, and that was part of, the thing that really solidified the moving to Costa Rica or to quitting jobs is like, hey, listen, we need a break. We're young. If we have to, we can always get a corporate job and make money again. And luckily, fortunately, we've come up with ways to pay our bills and not really dive into the retirement savings and enjoy life a little bit more. Typically, in a year, the hostel will run 3 months in the spring, 3 months in the fall, and that allows us 6 months to travel and hike and see family and things like that.
So just out of curiosity, what were your corporate lives? Who were you back before Costa Rica?
So I was in commercial title insurance.
And I managed a company in litigation support. So
even worse. So, corporate. There you go. Well, we know why you're not going back to that stuff. So listen, Senior Hiker 77, appreciate you being on. And he says, it's wonderful to love your job and your life. And another thing that I think you guys may have been intentional on, and I'm a little biased because I absolutely love the Southern North Carolina, specifically Appalachians. I've got some friends of mine, they're like, oh, all she wants to do is go down there and hike in the Southern Appalachians. Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So were you intentional with where you wanted the hostel?
So we started thinking about the city of Franklin while we were still living in Costa Rica. We were just trying to think of different cities we might want to land in the U.S. And one of them was Asheville, but Asheville was too pricey. It was too populated. So we started doing research around the area more. And I think we read there was an article, top 10 little small towns you've never heard of that are outdoorsy. And Franklin was on there. And it just kind of seemed on paper and the photos that it would be our type of gig, and it was mountainous. There was lots of hiking, fishing. So we kind of liked it even before we saw it. And then when we hiked on our Appalachian Trail through hike, we came through here and spent 3 nights here because there was a snowstorm. So we luckily had friends living here who had just moved back from Costa Rica, and we were able to stay with them. They were awesome, and they took us around. They showed us all the different areas, and we got to really see Franklin a lot more. So we still weren't decided on it, but then later on our through hike, when we started thinking about opening our own hostel, we thought of some different cities like Damascus, Hot Springs, where the trail goes right through the cities. But Franklin was on the list too. And Franklin won because we weren't sure we were going to be able to do the hostel. It depended what type of property and house we could find. And we wanted to like the city enough, even if we couldn't do the hostel. So Franklin.
It ticked all the boxes, and man, we are so grateful we ended up here. The town is wonderful. The business community was so welcoming to us. Opening a hostel, and we've made lots of friends here. It's a great town. Always something to do. It's a vibrant town. It's small. It's only about 4,000 people, but because we get a lot of tourism, we have a lot of resources, and there's just always something to do. Can't say enough about this place.
So from the time you bought the hostel until the hostel doors were open, let's get more into the logistics. Okay, so I'm sure as you were hiking all the AT, because I would be doing this just out of curiosity, I'm sure you were like, okay, we stayed at this hostel, we are not doing that at our hostel, or we stayed at this hostel, oh my God, we absolutely love this, but we want to tweak this a little bit different way. So you land in Franklin, you find a place. So from the time you find it until you open it, how you decided strategically you were going to be a hostel. So lead us into that.
So we had moved here to Franklin, and we're renting and started looking at houses, and nothing was looking good to us. We came and saw this property, and I took one look at it and turned around and walked back out. I was like, no,
hell no,
heck no. It was a disaster.
It was
really a mess.
Yeah, the previous owner lived out of state. He had renters downstairs and upstairs, and they weren't really on a lease, and so the place and he wasn't being involved in fixing things that were going wrong. So the place needed quite a bit of work, but as we
after
learned,
we started talking about it, we're like, it has really good bones.
It's got good bones.
If we could just see past all this renovation that we'll have to do. And that's where, that was his perspective, really. And you were right. And once I started thinking about it, and a lot of it was cosmetic, it was just dirty and filthy and needed some little tweaks.
Yeah.
But then especially the hostel needed some heavy duty renovation.
Yeah. So the setup is a duplex. It's upstairs, downstairs, 2-bedroom, 1-bath upstairs, 2-bedroom, 1-bath downstairs. We had slated the downstairs for the hostel and then upstairs as our residence. And that's how we have it today. And it works out really well. Because one of the things that we didn't like when we went into a hostel was when the owner was present all the time with the hikers. For us, we're both kind of introverts, and having to be around hikers all the time in our space, that would be tough. So having the separation, hikers get all their own space. They get a 700 square foot apartment for 4 people, and there's plenty of room to spread out and do what they need to do.
I like that because sometimes when you get off the trail, you want to do your own thing,
Right.
and to have the space to do that seems perfect. So walk us through what a hiker can expect. So say I'm on the trail and I'm getting ready to come down to I'm through hiking. I'm getting ready to come down to Winding Stair Gap. I go, oh my God, I got to get off the trail. Chica, please answer the phone. So you answer the phone.
Chica's not going to answer the phone. You need to send a text.
Okay, I'm texting. I've looked in far out. I got your number, and you have room. So what can people expect?
So, how do we answer this?
Okay, so basically it's all inclusive. So when you're coming into Franklin, you're typically getting off at Rock Gap or Winding Stair Gap. You can obviously get off at Deep Gap and some of the other places, but that's going to incur a pretty large shuttle fee. So when we started designing the business plan for our hostel, we wanted everything included. So all shuttles are included from those two gaps. So basically, we try to pick up at 11 and 2. Obviously, we can be flexible, but that groups people, and we're not making 4 trips each day instead of just 1 or 2.
Because it is a 20-minute drive.
It's a 20-minute drive to the trailhead. So you can expect to be picked up, and we're on time. And then, so we'll get you to Franklin. And then typically, the hostel has everything you could possibly want. It's got, washer dryer. It's got mouthwash. It's got Q-tip. We got Q-tips down there. We have a full kitchen, and we have like pizzas for sale and sodas. And there's pizza delivery and food delivery. So typically, kind of once you're checked in, you take your shower, you get your laundry done. We've got loaner clothes, so you put on some really groovy clothes, and then we get you to town. And Franklin's great because everything's very concise. You have Outdoor 76 downtown. You have a couple restaurants. You have the brewery, Lazy Hiker, and then you have Ingles and Dollar General for resupply. All that's within like 8 blocks of each other. So we'll get you to town, drop you off. You have a good time. There's a couple museums down there as well if you want to do that. And then you come back and chill.
And we're only 1 mile outside of town, so it's not a big deal for us to take hikers in, pick them up later. Sometimes hikers stay out later and even walk back because it's just a mile.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we do have a cutoff time for the last shuttle pickup of the night, but
Yeah. Otherwise, if you need a shuttle, you just text Chica, and she does everything. I drive. We already had this conversation, Julie. So text Chica, and I'll get you where you need to go.
And away you go. And I do want to make, as a side note, you guys, it is really thundering here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it sounds like we're getting ready to have a storm. So I'm not sure if you guys could hear that, but it's like it's crashing down on top of me. So if it's coming through the mic, that's what it is. So, as a thru hiker, we're coming through, but primarily this show is focused on section hikers. And I've been doing a series the last few episodes of logistics in various places along the Appalachian Trail. And prior to going live, we were having a conversation about how many section hikers you guys see. You guys actually have a Slack Pack special that you want to talk about. And you were saying that your thru hiker season is only a couple months, but the rest of the year is section hikers and various people coming through. So talk about that angle of the business.
Sure. Yeah. So our busiest thru hiker season is probably mid-February to about now, mid-May. So we're definitely not seeing as many thru hikers now. We're getting a lot more section hikers, some flip-floppers. We had a guy, Sobo, the other day, but I think he had flip-flopped. So we're definitely getting more into the section hiker season. And this year we're going to be open all year. So probably through the summer. I mean, we have a lot of people booked already for the summer, but again, they're all section hikers. So a lot of them will drive here, leave their cars here, or use their cars to like slack pack them up the trail, however many miles they want to do.
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways we do it. Like Chica was saying, a lot of times they'll leave their car here, and I'll take them, a couple days up the trail to say, Deep Gap or Dix Creek or wherever they want to go to, and then they can end up here again, or if they want to just be out for the day, we'll drive together, drop their car one place, and then I'll take them a day's trip out, and they'll walk back to their car and then come back to the hostel that night.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I always encourage section hikers, always walk to your car, never walk away from your car. Mm-hmm. And I encourage people, and now that I've got hostel owners on the show, I want to make sure I'm telling everybody the right thing. Whenever section hikers are planning their hike, I always encourage them to contact the hostels in that area. And this will lead to the catalytic converter conversation that we had, because call the hostels, ask about the trailheads, ask about the logistics. And you were just telling me a story about some trailheads that were having some issues. So, number one, do you agree that section hikers should reach out to the hostels? I'm hoping you say yes. And, help them with their hike.
No, I don't know why they want to. No, uh, you know, especially when you have hostel owners that have done long distance hiking, we understand where you're coming from and how you need to plan, and specifically our area, which for Chica and Sunsets, we're based in Franklin, and we know very well from Unicoi Gap to Fontana. We know that section extremely well. So we can help you with not only your itinerary, but okay, here's your day's schedule. If you get in trouble because there's bad weather coming in or whatever, you can get off here, or here, and you'll get local knowledge such as, okay, Winding Stair Gap, it's right on 64, the highway, and we've been having trouble with people stealing catalytic converters that have been left overnight or for long periods of time. So yes, definitely reach out to hostel owners, and we do it for free. I mean, it's something we do every single day, and Chica's so efficient. Most of the questions we receive multiple times, so she's got this block of information, and she'll just shoot you a text, and you have everything that you don't even know you wanted to ask. But yeah, so it's definitely a good thing to reach out.
Yeah, and like if we can't help people with parking or a hostel stay, if we're too busy, we have other people to recommend in the area. So it's a lot more information than they might not have otherwise if they didn't contact hostel owners for that area.
The businesses that cater to hikers in Franklin, it's such a wonderful group here. The shuttle drivers, the other hostel owners, we work together to make sure that people are getting taken care of. Yeah. And it could be bad. I know it could be, but we're very fortunate to have a great group of business owners here.
For sure.
And I'm so glad you confirmed that, because I've often said, okay, if you let's say you call Chica and Sunsets and they're booked, I am sure you could refer, or somebody needs a shuttle, you'll say, hey, call so-and-so. And if that so-and-so can't take them, they'll refer you to another person. And I'm so glad you guys said you work together, because there is this network, it seems, that goes up and down the trail. And do hostel owners, do you guys call each other? Do you guys keep each other informed? Like, hey, there's this huge bubble coming, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do actually. And yeah.
Sometimes there is a negative experience that happens somewhere, either upstream or downstream, and that information is passed along.
That gets passed on. That's what I was thinking of. That just happened today, actually. So
wow.
Yep.
And so that's really good, because we don't want a troublesome person here. So
right.
Appreciate the heads up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And vice versa. We tell other people too.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's always good to know, for safety.
Exactly.
Safety wise, you were saying your car, the comfort of, knowing that you're a trusted hostel on the trail. So I can trust you to refer me to somebody else that's trusted. And I really think that that's vital information.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all for that. Let's get into this. You guys have slack pack specials, and I imagine those are geared more toward section hikers, day hikers. So talk about that, and maybe what led you guys to offer those particular specials.
I think we saw a need with people, especially people who they didn't want to be out on the trail alone and do a section by themselves, but they really wanted to get out on the trail and experience it. And so we were just brainstorming for this probably a year and a half ago or so. And we're like, well, why don't we do something where, one of us goes out for a hike with them each day, and they come back to the hostel and get a shower, and then they have their car here. They can go into town for a dinner or beer or whatever. And so we kind of kicked it around. Above the Clouds Hostel also does this. They do all of Georgia, and so we kind of looked at what Lucky was doing with that as well, and we're like, okay, well, let's try it out. So
and he encouraged us to do it.
Yeah.
to try it.
So last year we put together two 5-day trips, and they sold out really quick. And I say sold out. It sounds like we're selling out an arena or something.
No, it's
we're just
sold.
We only take 3 people.
We take 3 people at a time.
Group, so.
Okay, so you do take 3 people.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 people at a time. So they sold out, and we had a great time with both groups, and got really good positive feedback. And so we added a shorter one, a 3-day trip this year as well. So we have 2 5 days and 1 3-day.
So it just works really good for people who are new to hiking, and they just want someone to hold their hand. They want someone to ask questions to, and one of us is with them each day while they're hiking. And hiking is a great time for talking, as you know. So conversations just happen naturally, and we can help anybody with advice or just talk through gear, whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah, and even though it's a slack pack, so they're only carrying what they need for the day. We can talk about like a verbal pack shakedown, or we can talk, as we're going, talk about, oh, that would be a great, bear hang tree, and this is why, or talk about tent site selection when we're walking through a camp, how to manage water as you're hiking along, and things like that.
To me, it sounds like an all-access pass to not only getting your miles in, in Georgia or North Carolina, wherever you guys are taking them, and also, what's the mileage per day?
It varies from like 7.5 miles to 13. And the 3-day trip varies from 7.5 to 9.5. So those are some shorter mileage days.
So the 5-day trip is Deep Gap to the NOC, so 50 miles. So right at 10 miles a day if averaged out.
I would have been all over that when I was first starting, because I just wanted to be a sponge and absorb, everything I needed to know. When are the trips this year?
So the spots we have left this year there's 2 spots left from November 2nd to November 6th.
That's the 3-day trip.
3-day trip.
Okay.
And then there's 1 spot left for the 5-day trip, which is October 20th to October 26th.
Okay. And all that information is on your website, which is?
ChicaandSunsets.com. All spelled out.
ChicaandSunsets.com. I will make sure that's actually already in the description already. And I think I put the website for it to go directly to that Slack Pack special, but you also have all your information there at the top. People could click on it. I don't know if your jewelry is on there or your book. I believe it's all on there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So before we get to y'all's next adventure that you're planning to do in 2024, we want the goods on the 2023 hiker season. What are you guys seeing? What's happening? Is it really as crowded as people are saying? I think some of the rumors, that I see or hear in vlogs or on social media, it's crowded. There's crazy people out on the trail. There's bears everywhere stealing people's food. It seems like it's the same stuff year after year. So what are you guys seeing? And by the time people get to you guys, which, they've gone through Georgia into North Carolina, are they dialed in, or are you still having to do like pack shakedowns for thru hikers and things like that? So really, we want the skinny on what's going on.
So I would think numbers wise, we just came off of 2 years of makeup for 2020, basically. So they were inflated. 2020 is when we opened the hostel, so we don't have any idea of what the trail numbers were before. I can tell you this year has dropped a lot as far as the numbers that we're seeing come through Franklin. This is confirmed with information from the owners at Outdoor 76, as well as some trail angels who do trail magic every year at the same time at the gaps, and they're just saying they're not seeing the numbers of people that they've seen the past 2 years. It doesn't mean it's not crowded out here, because it's still, we still have, probably in the bubble 60 or 75 people coming into town a day. So it's a lot, but.
And we haven't really noticed because we only have 4 beds here. So we have still been full like every night in the thru-hiker season, but we're not turning away as many people. Like we can just tell it's not as busy or not as crazy busy.
Yeah.
So, but there is, by the time hikers get here, they're at mile 110, and we find a lot of hikers still need pack shakedowns, assistance, have lots of questions, have gear that's not working for them, shoes that aren't working for them.
People are still nursing injuries, or just now starting to get overuse injuries and getting off trail in Franklin. Mm-hmm. So it's still early in the whole big scheme of long section hiking and through hiking for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think people are hiking too many miles from the beginning? Is that the injuries, too much pack weight, or all the above?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be any of those. It could be too many miles right too quickly. Yeah, big packs. We see a lot of people with really heavy packs.
It's so hard too, because I mean, a large majority of people coming out here to thru hike the AT have never backpacked before. So they're reading information and looking at YouTube and things like that, and they say, "Oh, trail family is really important. I need to get me one of those." And so they click with a group, and 2 or 3 people are fast in that group, and they have to keep up with those fast people in order not to lose their trail family. And so they end up getting injured because you got to keep up with the fastest person. My advice in that scenario is to get your pack weight down below 30 pounds with 4 days of food and a liter of water, and go solo for 150 miles before you try to find your cohesive group.
Or just let it happen naturally.
Let it happen naturally, yeah.
As a section hiker, tramily is a new term over the last couple years, I think. But as a section hiker, you don't really have a trail family.
That's true.
A lot of times, the majority of the time, you hike alone, or maybe you hike with a hiking partner. But if you're section hiking the trail, and you're doing Georgia to Maine, it's very hard. I started out with 5 ladies back in 2006, and it dwindled down to just me. So over the years, my trail family blew up and another one started. So I equate that to your trail family when you're through hiking in North Carolina is not necessarily going to be your trail family when you get to New Hampshire and Maine. And I think people
And I think it's a human trait that we're just competitive naturally. And so you see someone pass you, and it doesn't matter if they're young or old, either one's going to fire you up, ooh, that young kid, or that old person, oh my goodness, they're kicking my ass.
Or that lady's hiking faster than me. And I'm like, yeah.
So, a lot of times people don't have a whole lot of experience, and they just, it's like when you're driving a car and someone passes you and you just automatically put your foot on the accelerator. It's just natural. And I think that happens with hiking too. And you get competitive about it, and it's great. It's fine, but don't do it until later, after you know what you're doing, I guess. And because overuse injury is so easy to get out here, and it takes forever to get over.
And you're always hiking the person's pace who's in the front.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So if they're a speed demon, you're always trying to catch up all day. And then you have this, oh, I can't keep up, or where's everybody going tonight? And it's like you put all this pressure on yourself and I've done it. We've all done it. This undue pressure. And I think it leads to what we were saying before, injuries. They have that. I need that in my pack, or they're carrying this food. I need that. And typically all this I need stuff, it never really works out. And it gets you injured. So what else? Any dirt? I mean, like crazy dirt. We need dirt on the 2023 through hiking season before we move over.
No dirt. No.
Come on, nothing.
Good try. Thanks. No. Thanks. Someone type a question, please.
Yeah, there you go. Get us away from the dirt. So it sounds like you guys have had an amazing season, and you guys are getting ready to take a little break, and then you're booked right back up. And one thing before we get to your trip that you're going to do in 2024, you did mention to me that, so say me and a couple people want to come down, and you will work with us and either help us set up a trip or work with us, maybe hike with us a day. So there are other options if somebody calls and really wants to work something out.
For sure. Yeah, we will work out whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm.
There you
give
go.
Us your mileage, how many days you want to hike. We will ask you some questions to make sure you're, ready for the Appalachian Trail, because it's hard. But we can design, we have some really good sections here that we can do, a 3-day slack pack trip, 5-day, or even longer, 8, 9 days.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. If you want to, spend a couple nights out and then come get clean and then spend another couple nights, whatever. It's this area, I think you mentioned it. I don't know if it was on the podcast or on our pre-talk, but the South is just beautiful. And in Franklin, the Franklin area, I mean, just you have Albert Mountain, you have Seiler Bald, you have Wyatt Bald, you have Wesser Bald, all this stuff within a really short period of time. So it's a great place to spend a week.
Yeah, I want to come down there right now, or I should say over there. I'm not that far from you, maybe 3.5 hours.
Come visit.
Yeah,
yes.
You need to come.
Yes. Maybe I'll come to one of the slack pack trips. Yes. Hey, I'm all about it.
You get a shower every night?
Yes. Yes. I'm all about slack packing. I'm not one of these that says, oh, I carry my pack all the way to Katahdin. I'm like, not me. I'll slack pack whatever. So we do have a question. Sam Carter wants to know, what is each of your favorite trail food or snack?
So my favorite candy is sweet tart minis. I just love them. They're kind of tart, but they're sweet, and you can kind of suck on them for a while, so they take time. And Jolly Ranchers are really good for that too. And then probably my favorite snack or other food is cheese and Triscuits.
So the one constant for me is jerky, any sort of jerky, pepper jerky, teriyaki jerky. Sound like Forrest Gump. Anyway, yeah, and so my snacks kind of evolve. I do something for 3 weeks at a time, and then I switch to something else. But one thing that stays consistent with the snacks is, and notice I don't say jerky as a snack. That is a main food group. Chili mangoes. You can get them at the store. It's like chili powder on top of mangoes with some sugar, and it is just dried mango. It's delicious.
It's kind of spicy, right?
It is. I like spicy stuff.
Okay, so that's two different things. You're like sweet and sour, and he's spicy. So I guess that's why it works.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
So this has been great. A lot of information for thru hikers, for section hikers. You guys, Franklin is where it's at. Chica and Sunsets, Outdoor 76. The town of Franklin has everything you guys need. whether you're on your first hike or you're coming through as a thru hiker and your feet are all beat up, you can go get new shoes at Outdoor 76 and get a fitting, which I love going there. They're absolutely amazing, and I'm jealous you guys have them
They're
right
great
in your
guys.
backyard.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, we learned from you earlier that you're very intentional. You set a plan, and most things are 2 years out before you make them happen. So you made an announcement that, I'll let you guys say it, you are going to hike another long distance trail in 2024. So was that intentional? Is that a 2-year plan? You can spill the beans and tell us all about it.
Well, I've been wanting to hike it for a while now, and have been.
I guess we should tell them what it is.
It's a PCT. Yeah.
Okay.
PCT.
So some of the concerns that Chica had about hiking the PCT, especially in the south portion, we talked through ways to mitigate the issues, and we watched a couple people on YouTube, and she decided she wanted to hike it.
So my main concerns were the dangerous water crossings. Number one, those don't look fun at all to me.
No, not especially this year, because they're having a crazy time this year.
Yeah, this year we would not be doing it this year. The really long water carries, some of the really scary snow traverses where you have to have an ice axe. So we talked through those issues, and hopefully next year will be a low snow year, and we're going to start a lot later in the season, like maybe early May, hopefully, if we get our permits. So we feel like the desert will definitely be really hot, but we kind of have a plan for hiking that. And then the later start will help us with the snow melt off. It should be melted off more so by the time we get to the Sierras. And also the rivers should be lower and more, the runoff should be done already. So we watched some videos of like normal snow years and low snow years, and it seemed very doable to me. There was nothing crazy scary about the water crossings. So yeah, after I saw that, I'm like, I think I want to do this.
Well, plus you guys have each other.
Yes.
You have each other. Did you ever contemplate going south?
When he was thinking about doing it alone, he was thinking about doing it south, but that was mainly to fit in with our hostel season. But next year, actually, we have a couple who's going to come here and run it from early May through the summer. So it really gives us as much time as we need.
Yep.
And I don't know why we decided north. I don't know.
South is challenging.
Oh, you have to do it really fast.
You have to do it faster. You're under a little bit more of a time constraint, and you have to guess the weather correctly when you're starting. So if you want to be super safe and not hike in snow in Washington State, then you really have a shortened window of when you can hike it. So north is better. It works fine. Getting a late start. We'll probably do it over 4.5 to 5 months, probably closer to 5 months, and we're looking forward to a new challenge. Yeah. Excuse me.
Well, we are definitely excited for you, and it sounds like that plan is in stone, and we will be cheering you on that you get your permit for the time frame that you want your permit. And you got the couple coming down, which is awesome for your hostel. You don't have to worry about that. Hopefully it's somebody you trust. So
It is, yeah.
Well, they trusted us with their house when they hiked the AT. So
We actually house sat for them when they hiked the AT the year after we hiked the AT.
Okay, so it's only fair they returned the favor, right?
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
right.
There you go. Well, you guys, I say this every episode. It is extremely hard to believe that 55 minutes have gone by. What a great conversation. Just to recap, you guys, Chica and Sunsets Hostel, Franklin, North Carolina, thru hikers, section hikers, day hikers, slack pack special. You only have a few slots left. So if you're thinking about going down and getting a taste of the AT, Chica and Sunsets, is it Chica and Sunsets Hostel.com or Chica and Sunsets.com?
Chicaandsunsets.com.
All right, excellent. So anything you guys want to leave the listeners with?
No, go hike.
Okay. All right, you guys, you heard it here. Chica and Sunsets. Hang on. I am going to switch the screen. I'm going to sign off here, and I'll be right back with you guys. All right, everybody. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys joining tonight. It's been a long time coming to have Chica and Sunsets on the podcast. The audio version of the show is going to be out on Saturday, May 27th. So on May 27th, you'll have the audio version on whatever podcast app that you listen to audio podcast on. The video version will stay here on YouTube. And as always, you guys, thanks for listening. Be safe out there and happy section hiking.